meeting. Um, We have a full council here tonight. Will you please, we'll stand up. Councilman Hemphill will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and the invocation will be by Councilman Andazola.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Creator, we're thankful for this day and joyful for swearing in our new council members. And I'm asking you, Heavenly Creator, to please be with each and one of them, to give them the wisdom that they need and the guidance to really lead the Gila Valley and Safford. Heavenly Father, I am grateful for these 8 years of service to this wonderful community. And I ask you to please be with each and every one of them. I'm very thankful for our city manager, our assistant manager, and our clerks, our department heads, and our employees, most of all, who we value. And we value our citizens at our heart very much so. And we ask this in the Heavenly Creator's name. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, then we'll move on to item number 5, citizen comments on agenda items.
Mayor Ortega, we have one comment from Vance Bryce, and he will make that comment once the item comes up.
Okay. And non-agenda items?
Mayor Ortega, we have one comment from Mr. Paul David.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Thank you, Councilman Andazola, for your service. Good evening, managers, assistant city managers. The reason I'm here is I'll first say a couple really positive things, and then just a request for consideration. I am very pleased to call Safford my home, and really like the direction the city of Safford's going. Recent events, air show, the opportunities for people to gather, using the facilities for Field of Honor, the lighting ceremonies, really improve our community, and it's really a great place to work and live. The reason I'm here this evening is kind of unofficial, representing the Safe House. I'm on the board, and we continue to visit about it and have a concern, but I don't have a solution. I have one that I would suggest, but if you and we are grateful, the Safe House, without the city of Safford's facility, without their support, the Safe House would not exist as it now is. And so what a tremendous blessing that the city of Safford continues to, and its citizens, take care of the people who have domestic violence problems. Anyway, the traffic on once with the 5-lane divided, or the 5-lane highway section on 20th Avenue, as they went ahead and put in the curbs and then the sidewalks, there's very little room between the curb and the very first building that's the westernmost part of that building. And that happens to be the operations center that's staffed pretty much 24 hours a day. They have the security cameras there, and there's a potential, and I pray it never happens, potential for a vehicle to come off over the curb and into that little building. And it's not it's just I think it's just a stick building. I don't think it's masonry, and so it wouldn't absorb much of an impact. I noticed over the weekend that 20th Avenue at 8th Street, that someone came through at the Walmart at the Home Depot corner and took out some one over the curb, over the sidewalk, and took out some railing. And also, I'm aware that there have been a number of accidents because of the turning motions at that intersection with the hospital. So anyway, I'm just thinking out loud. It would be nice if we could get something like some bollards. I know it's a utility corridor right there. All the utilities go right there. So that would make it very, very difficult to put up a wall with any kind of a footing because you still have to have access to your utilities. But I'm thinking of bollards, even bollards that you could pull out and just have sleeves if they get damaged. Something for the city engineer, city managers, and the council to consider as a, hope it never happens, but it would be a great idea. I think it'd be prudent to have something more than just the curb to protect that building. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item number 7, and that's the oath of office of elected council members. Everybody wants to step forward?
Thank you. If 4 of you could please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, state your name, please, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona and the ordinances, resolutions, rules, and regulations of City of Safford, Arizona. That I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance to the same and defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of, according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Thank you. Councilman Andazola, if I could please have you step to the front. On behalf of the City of Safford City Council, we would like to present you with this plaque in recognition of your dedicated service and outstanding leadership on the City of Safford Council. Where you have faithfully served the community for the past 8 years. Your commitment to improving the lives of the citizens of Safford and your tireless work for the betterment of our city will have a lasting impact. Thank you for your vision, your service, and your unwavering dedication to the values of our community.
Thank you so much.
Personally want to thank him for what he's done to help us out.
Okay. Mayor and council, I want to say now you have me on this side now, so I'll be a citizen now, be addressing. And I just want you to know I'll still be around, and I want to say thank you. I've had the greatest 8 years that I've had so far serving with all of you and serving this great community. And I'm asking each and every one of you to please take your position seriously and represent the people to the best of your ability. You're the word that carries on to hear each individual. And I'm just asking you to please just represent and be out there talking to your citizens, hearing their complaints and their problems, whatever it may be, that needs to be addressed. Because that was what I loved doing as being a councilman. And John, I want to say thank you for, just giving me wisdom and helping me out through my rough times and making me understand things. And you really made an impact. Eric, thank you so much. Arnold, you're my amigo. Luke, thank you. Alma, good luck. Mayor Ortega, it was a pleasure. Brad, Dusty, and Steve, thank you. And B, also thank you. Department heads, thank you all too. So can we have a round of applause for everybody I just greeted and said thank you to? So I leave you with that note, and you don't have to hear from me no more.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to item number 8. It'll be a presentation from the Graham County Chamber of Commerce. It's their annual review.
Thanks, B, for helping me out with the slides. Good evening, Mayor Ortega and members of the Safford City Council. My name is Vance Bryce, and I am the Executive Director at the Graham County Chamber of Commerce. I want to express our deepest gratitude for your investment in our chamber and share the tangible impact your investment has had on Safford City residents in 2024. Together, the City of Safford and the Chamber have achieved remarkable success that underscore the value of your investment. I am reporting on these projects tonight. Please feel free to ask questions during the presentation. The City of Safford's annual funding of $160,000 and in-kind donations for the value of the Chamber building and the community City of Safford in-kind donation at community events have been critical for us to provide our business retention, leadership training, and tourism marketing programs. I'm excited to report that for every dollar that the City of Safford invested, we returned $4.27 in value, over 326% return on investment. This translates to over $1.29 million in quality of life benefits for Safford residents. This return on investment is a testament to the Chamber's commitment to maximizing your resources to advance the quality of life in Safford. In 2024, we worked with Safford businesses and the Mount Graham Golf Club to create the Escape to Safford, Arizona tourism package. The package is valued at $700 and we are selling it at $400. It includes 18 holes of golf, lunch, dinner, and room reservations for 2. We are marketing this package through digital channels and report back with results.
And when did that kick off?
Just in November, so just barely.
Recently.
Yep. Mhm. This year, the Chamber budget included the cost of designing the new airport logo, Safford Air Show flyer, and digital marketing materials for the air show. Delegating work like this to the Chamber is much more cost-effective than hiring your own consultants to do design work. This value does not reflect what the city saved, but rather the actual cost to the Chamber. In partnership with FMI and the Graham Economic Partnership, the Chamber subscribed to Placer AI, which provides foot traffic and economic data around our efforts. For the first time, we are able to measure audience data and economic impact of community events. Staff at the Chamber are training on how to use this data to increase the level of private investment for our events. And just as a side note, we showed some data to some local businesses, and they, just by seeing the data of how many people are coming to events, they doubled their sponsorship right on the spot when they saw how many people were coming. The Chamber plans and implements 2 large community events every year in the city of Safford, including Salsa Fest, the largest annual event in downtown Safford, and the Safford Spring Festival. If the city contracted out this event to another vendor or decided to do this event in-house, it would likely cost the city as much as the current annual investment, total investment to the chamber. With the City of Safford's annual investment, we are able to go out and find private sponsorships to pay for these events that provide a much-needed catalyst for commercial activity in the city. Major donors include Nature Suite, Kempton Chevrolet, the United Way of Graham and Greeley Counties, Double R Communications, 1AZ Credit Union, and Mount Graham Regional Medical Center. In addition to planning and executing Salsa Fest and the Safford Spring Festival, we provide labor, marketing, and strategic support to other community events put on by the City of Safford, Safford Downtown Association, St. Rose of Lima Catholic Parish, and the Gila Valley New Year's Balloon Extravaganza. We are open 290 days a year, including Friday and Saturday, which is 2 days longer each week than our schools and local governments. Our information desk offers valuable information to residents, tourists, and anyone that walks into the chamber. The chamber also champions local partnerships. In 2024, the Gila Valley Community Room and Chamber Boardroom hosted numerous organizations from the Arts Council to nonprofit coalitions, fostering collaboration and strengthening our community resilience. They include Andrew Jensen Art, Arizona Coalition to End Sexual and Domestic Violence, the Arizona Commerce Authority, Arizona Community Foundation, Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, Arizona Impact for Good, Double R Communications, Chicanos por la Casa, Community Network Team, Trino Pino Reyes for Council, Ebenezer Bryce Foundation, Edward Jones, Erasing Stress Systems, the Flynn Brown Foundation, or the Flynn Foundation, Freeport, we'll go to the next page. Gila Valley Arts Council, Gila Valley Women's Cancer Support Group, Graham County Democratic Party, Graham Greenlee Local Committee to End Homelessness, Graham Economic Partnership, Juan Ciscamani, Local First Arizona, Matheson Music Foundation, Mount Graham Safe House, Nature Suite, S.J. Gardner MSHA Training, Safford Rotary Club, Safford Lions Club, Sheriff P.J. Allred, Southern Arizona Hispanic Chamber, Southern Arizona Sports, Tourism, and Film Authority, St. Vincent de Paul, United Way of Graham and Greeley Counties, Velocity Builders, and the Yes Sod 402 campaign. It is always exciting to see the productivity and work happening with all of our chamber members, and we like to share their success with anyone who will listen. Chamber members are able to use these facilities at no additional cost to their membership. Initiatives like the Gila Valley Leadership Program further demonstrate our commitment to training future leaders who will drive success in Safford. Leadership is also a great way for the city to celebrate all of the great projects and programs that are going on in the city of Safford. We leverage your investment to partner with Eastern Arizona College to sponsor this program. In 2024, we worked with Cameron Atkins at the airport to put on a great booth representing the city at the League of Arizona Cities and Towns annual conference. We look forward to going bigger in 2025. In a twist of fate, Pima Town Council member Cheryl Teeter won the city's business card drawing this year. Everyone at the Chamber of Commerce is deeply grateful for the city's trust and investment. Together, we have achieved extraordinary outcomes that uplift our city and its residents. We leverage our political and regional relationships to benefit the city of Safford. The Chamber's invitation to Governor Hobbs to Safford Spring Festival resulted in official gubernatorial visits with the city staff and council. As we look to 2025, we are eager to build on this momentum, continuing to innovate, support Safford businesses, and drive economic growth. Our mission is to advance the quality of life through connection, leadership, and tourism. Thank you for your support. Our partnership makes a difference to the bottom line of Safford businesses and the quality of life of Safford residents. And we are proud to be champions for the city of Safford. Funding the chamber is good business. I am available to answer any questions or provide further details about the report. Yeah.
Okay, Safford does support the chamber financially, you know, quite a bit. How about Thatcher? Have you approached these other cities or
Yes.
towns, and what has happened there?
hmm We have a contract with the city of Safford, and it amounts to what is almost like a donation from Town of Thatcher and Town of Pima and Graham County. And with Graham County, we made an ask of $20,000, and they've approved that. With Town of Thatcher, it's $12,000, and for Town of Pima, it's $5,000.
Are you gonna, ask for more as the time goes on?
Yes.
12,000 sure isn't much for, you know, compared to what we put in, and I think it'd be good of you to go talk to them and kind of boost it up so we can improve the whole valley.
We'll continue to talk to them, and I'll be reporting to their councils in January and kind of give them an ROI on what we're doing with them. That's different from what
Will it be
we're doing
different
here.
than ours?
What's that?
Will it be different than ours?
It'll be much different report. Yep.
Thank you.
Vance, you mentioned, I like the program that started in November with the golf package. You said social media, is it going out like to other communities, southeastern Arizona, in any other way besides social media?
So we're not doing any print. It's gonna be we're gonna be able to update it really well with events that are going on, with new offerings going on. Potentially, if air service comes to the city
Right.
of Safford, we'll be able to update it. And digital, we're targeting certain zip codes depending on what our visitation is already. And because of the new program we have, we're able to see what exact zip codes we should be showing, people who log in and go on ABC News or any of the news websites will see it on the left-hand side or right-hand side. And we can get some more marketing dollars for it. Before a Hulu show, you might see a little commercial about coming to Safford.
And you'll be able to, in a few months, let us know how that's going?
Yeah, we can do a report on what the digital market, who's seeing it, how often they're seeing it, and if anyone's buying it. I think
Right,
that's the most
yeah,
important
exactly
thing.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and move on to item number 9, new business. Everybody have a chance to read the minutes of November 12th and 18th? Any corrections?
Mayor, I move we approve the minutes for November 12th and 18th, 2024.
And we've had a motion to approve minutes of November 12th and the 18th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I didn't hear a second.
Oh, there wasn't a second. You second it? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It carries. Okay. Next item is holiday bonus. It's a request for the mayor and the council to approve a 2024 holiday bonus check for the city of Safford employees. John?
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. This is a request for an approval for a holiday bonus. Strategic goal is financial management. Background, council has approved holiday bonus pay for employees in the past. City approved through the FY25 budget process the appropriation of up to $156,685 for holiday bonus pay. The analysis, holiday bonus budgeted for FY25 is a gross net bonus of up to $500 for full-time staff, city council, and volunteer firefighters, with part-time employees receiving up to $250. Funding for these holiday bonuses was budgeted at the amount stated previously, and the actual amount would be up to $146,800. There is a by-fund breakout table in the CCNF, and you'll notice that some of the actuals are lower than budget, which is a result of vacancies that are currently on the books. So if council recalls, at one point we were doing bonuses. We would come to council and we would just discuss them kind of on the spur of the moment. Those funds would come from one-time monies out of our reserves, and since we did holiday bonuses on an annual basis, we moved that to ongoing revenue to pay for them and made the funding of it part of the ongoing annual budget process. And again, this doesn't obligate council to approve the bonuses. It simply made them be paid for with ongoing revenue because it's an ongoing expense. And the bonuses, as stated, are up to, you can choose some amount less than that. And with that, I will turn it back over to council.
Anybody have any comments, questions on it? I think it's good that you did include it in the budget. I think that was a good move. Anybody else?
Here, this is gross step.
Mayor Ortega, Council, or Vice Mayor Lopez, yes, that's correct.
So that's, you add the taxes to achieve the amount you want.
Right, so essentially the taxes are covered, so the employees receive actual $500, up to $500.
I've never, I've voted no against this in the past because I didn't feel the council should receive it. And I still kind of feel like that.
I don't mind passing it. I just don't want to, I don't feel as council, we're not employees. We shouldn't be giving ourselves a bonus. It's no different than our government voting for themselves a raise. The people should be doing that.
I'm fine either way, but it needs to be said that we are employees of the city. I mean, we have,
We're
we
elected
receive,
officials.
well, we receive W-2s and insurance benefits, and we are employees of the city, technically. And I'm not saying I'm not open to council not receiving it, but that distinction needs to be made.
You could consider what the amount is that the part-timers get half of whatever's decided. If you want to consider us as part-timers, I'd hear that with you too, but, you know, I said no about it in the past, and we'll see if anybody else has any comments or is gonna put an amount out there.
The only other comment I'll make, and we even had this discussion quite a ways back on, did we want to change the pay of council, which is usually a no. And again, I'm not pushing for that either, but I'm generally in favor of anything that would make running for council or being an employee of the city in any respect something more appealing to a wider group of people. Not that a $500 Christmas bonus would do that for council, or slightly higher council pay, or increased insurance coverage from the city, but all those things together, anything ever, including what used to always be on the ballot to increase state legislator pay, same concept. For me, anything that would broaden the scope of who might run for those positions, it makes it more appealing. I'm for.
You brought up some very good points. Because it's not an easy job. You have to be able to take the heat. And I myself, I feel that the council works hard. A bonus, I have no problem with it.
City Manager Casella, I'm curious, how many part-time employees do we have?
I believe it's 8 to 10.
My comment would be that sometimes it's harder to fill a part-time position, and we need those positions. We're not paying benefits for them. Why wouldn't we just, for 8 to 10 employees, give them the $500 bonus?
I like that idea too.
And just for council, if, for example, this latest comment, you can make a motion to amend, and then we could vote on the amendment, and then vote on the item as amended, as we could with Vice Mayor Lopez's comment. So at any point, because this is completely a council decision, so at any point, if you want to proceed, put a motion forward, try to get a second, and then vote, you can do it that way to amend it.
That'd be a good amendment. I felt like that with them with vacation. They don't get paid when we have holidays off and stuff. They don't get paid, and they should.
Mayor, I move that we amend the holiday bonus to be $500 for all employees, including part-time.
Is there a second?
So there'd be a second.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve a holiday bonus of $500, around $500 for all employees.
Mayor, you would vote on the amendment first?
That was the amendment.
So the amendment, yes, so you would vote on the amendment as proposed by Councilwoman Flores on making the $500 applicable to part-time as well.
Okay.
And then you would vote on the motion as amended, unless there are further amendments.
And then if I amend it with us saying that the council doesn't get it, that comes again, or I have to piggyback it with this.
You could do a friendly amendment and ask that that be included. You'd have to vote on that as well, though, and you would have basically at that point. So maybe the best bet is to vote on Councilwoman Flores' amendment, and then maybe add another amendment, and then I guess vote as amended for both. So you would vote on the first amendment, see if it passes.
Okay,
If
we'll
you-
vote on the first amendment
Yeah.
from Councilwoman Flores. All in favor? Opposed? It carries.
So the amendment carried. Now, if you want to do any additional amendments, you would do the same, and then we could vote on the action item as amended for whatever carried as an amendment. So right now, this one did pass.
And I place out the amendment that council does not get it.
We can donate ours to them.
So there is a motion and a second to have the bonus not apply to council.
All in favor?
Real quick, Mayor, Councilwoman Bratner made a comment that she liked to, did you say donate? Is that what you said?
Why can't we take ours and give ours? to
Those are
them?
separate amendments, why I'm asking.
Yeah,
Oh, it
so,
was just a comment.
yeah, so currently what's being requested, and you could have another amendment if you
Oh,
would like,
no.
is that the holiday bonus not be provided to council. And so we're looking, I don't know if there was a motion.
Yes, it
Yes,
was.
I made a motion.
Okay, and so we're looking for the second.
So she seconded it,
Second. So you would vote on that amendment.
and we called for the vote.
Yeah.
That was it.
It
No.
failed, correct?
Right.
We never got through it.
It didn't go through with the vote. So at this point, all in favor of not receiving it for the council.
Okay, so that motion failed.
Do we need to say opposed?
All opposed?
Okay. And so now what you have is the original bonus with the addition of making all part-time employees also receive the full $500 instead of $250.
Mayor, I move that we approve the holiday bonus as amended to include $500 for all employees, including part-time.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the $500 bonus for all the employees and
Part-time.
part-time, sorry. All in favor? Opposed?
Because you didn't call us employees, so it's kind of mixed up, but good.
Did we do it correctly?
I believe so. I think we took the right procedures parliamentary wise. So basically the item passed as amended, and now the bonuses will be $500 for part-time employees as well.
Okay.
B thinks I need to explain my not voting in that this doesn't affect me because as a fireman, I'm gonna get it either way. And I'm not eligible for two, so I just stayed out of it. So that's just as an explanation.
And so is, Mr. Sims, are you on the line? All right.
Sorry, yes, I couldn't find my code. Yes, yes, sir.
So just a quick question, Councilman McGoy did not vote at all for reasons as stated. Does that count as a no or yes vote or an abstention?
An extension.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Clarify.
Okay. Then we'll go ahead and move on to item number 10, resolution number R24-041, adopting an annexation policy. Jamie?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request for the Mayor and City Council to adopt Resolution 24-041, adopting an annexation policy for the City of Safford. The strategic goals are growth and development. Background and analysis, the City Council held a work session to discuss Exhibit A of Resolution 24-041 on November 12th, 2024. And let me reiterate that this is just our plan for moving forward. This is a document that will show what the city values and what we require before we look at annexation for any property within the county that is contiguous with the city boundary. Smart growth is important to keep the city of Safford a great place to live, work, and visit. The city manager has tasked staff with providing a framework for well-planned and manageable annexation. Staff has reviewed the applicable state statutes, the annexation manual provided by the League of Cities and Towns, and reviewed policies from other municipalities in the state. This information has been used to create a draft annexation policy that has been reviewed by our attorney. If approved, this policy will be in effect for the update of the general plan and will create a clear path for the addition of property to the city of Safford. You'll see that there is state statute that does apply to this, and the 2016 City of Safford General Plan began the work to create this plan for annexation and growth areas. With the update of the general plan in 2026 and this policy as a guide, the city will be prepared to move forward in a well-planned and sustainable manner following state statute and league guidance. Staff requests that the City Council adopt Resolution 24-041, adopting an annexation strategy for the City of Safford. Your attachments are the resolution and the state law and the league packet that lines out the process that has to be required for any annexation. With that, my report is complete and I will stand for questions.
Well, yes, Mayor. We've gone over this last meeting or the meeting before,
Yes, sir.
and you've brought the majority of this literature and stuff from the League of Cities and Towns also. Been adopted by many of those. Although we're not looking for annexation right at this minute, we do want it in preparation for the 10-year plan that's coming up, I believe, in 26. I think you said that, and this would help us to have it. I think last meeting you said that was something that was mentioned by the lady that we didn't have one at that time. And so now we do, or may here in a little bit.
Yes, Mayor and Vice Mayor. This is really part of our code updating and really looking comprehensively at our policies and our future growth opportunities. And we did not have a strategy. So now moving forward, anytime someone comes to the office that wants to discuss annexation, or we go out in the public to discuss it, we can show them that we have this well thought out policy and where their project fits within that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And just very quickly, Mayor, members of council, if you recall, there was a point at which we discussed the idea of doing economic development, right, and growth within the community. So we brought you a series of items, beginning with some built environment stuff that the Public Works Director had brought some time ago, updating our code in terms of where roads would go. And we brought you items regarding blight. We have also now brought you an annexation policy. We brought you a CFD policy. All of these are part of the larger recipe that looks at growth and development holistically. So each of these, while coming individually, are part of that greater whole to give us what I call a toolkit for development. So we're trying to put all the appropriate pieces in place. Now, the annexation process is very legally driven by the state. This was designed to make sure that the values that drive annexation for us are something that is in keeping with council. But of course, any new developments that we would do would ultimately come to you for your approval.
Anybody else? I'm just glad to see that we're moving forward. We're addressing this thing about annexation. It's gonna take a little bit of time, but I'm glad we're doing it. Anybody else have anything? It's an action item.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution R24-041, adopting an annexation strategy.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution R24-041. That's adopting an annexation strategy. All in favor? Opposed? Carries. And we'll move on to.
Mayor?
Mayor?
Read it, I'm sorry.
This completes the approval resolution number R24-041, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, adopting an annexation strategy as shown on Exhibit A and authorizing and directing the city manager, city clerk, city attorney, or their duly authorized agents to carry out the purpose and intent of this resolution.
Thank you. The first one always gets me. Okay, we'll move on to item number 11, ordinances. Number 1, ordinance number 024-011. It's a Gonzalez rezone, and this is a second read.
Yes, good evening again, Mayor and Council. Staff is requesting a second reading and approval or denial of ordinance 024-011, an ordinance of the City of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, rezoning Graham County Assessor's Parcel 106-01037 and portions of parcels 106-01002N and 106-002R from the C3 Light Commercial District to the MHD Manufactured Home Development District. Strategic goals are growth and development, pursuing infill opportunities. The background is the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council have both held the required public hearings and a first reading of the ordinance. The Planning and Zoning Commission public hearing was held on October 21st, 2024, and the City Council public hearing was held on November 12th, 2024. No further response has been received from the public or the neighbors. Analysis, staff, and the Planning and Zoning Commission have recommended approval. Your attachments are Ordinance 024-011, the Planning and Zoning Commission written recommendation, and the staff report for the City Council public hearing. The applicant is here if you have questions, and I will also stand for questions.
Anybody have any questions? No. It's an action item.
Mayor, I move we approve ordinance O24-011, the Gonzalez rezone. Second read.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve ordinance number 024-011. It's the Gonzalez rezone, second read. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
This completes approval of ordinance number 024-011, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the Graham County. Can you hear me? Let me start over. Approval of ordinance number 024-011, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, effectuating a map amendment rezoning Graham County Assessor's Parcel number 106-01-307 and portions of parcels number 106-01-002N and 106-01002R from City of Safford C3 Light Commercial District to MHD Manufactured Home Development District.
And we'll move on to item number 2, ordinance number 024-012. It's the amendment to Title 17.
Yes, good evening again, Mayor and Council. This is a request for the Mayor and City Council for a first read of Ordinance O24-012, an ordinance of the City of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, amending Title 17, Chapter 17.12.170, Temporary Uses and Structures, to update temporary use regulations within the City of Safford to comply with Arizona state statutes. Growth and development are the strategic goals. Background and analysis, the regulations allowed by Arizona State Statute 9-485-01 have changed regarding mobile food vendors. Staff has reviewed the changes and updated Title 17, Chapter 17.12.170 in accordance with the updated statute. Because the regulations regarding mobile food vendors are only a part of this title, staff took the opportunity to revise the entire chapter to be easier to read for anyone proposing a temporary use. The changes are shown in Exhibit A, and the highlights are: allowed zoning categories were added to swap meets, outdoor sales, mobile food vendors, and farmers markets. The regulations placed only on mobile food vendors in 17.12.170B were removed as they conflict with the current state statute, and the regulations allowed by state statute were included except for restricting them at the public airport. Staff recommends a first reading of Ordinance O24-012 for adoption on January 13th, 2025. Your attachments are the ordinance, Exhibit A with red line changes, and the state statute that is applicable. With that, I will stand for questions.
The majority that you did red line out is no longer applicable to state statutes?
Yes, Mayor and Vice Mayor, those conflicted with the state statute. You are not allowed to regulate mobile food vendors in any way you don't regulate any other temporary uses.
They still have to get permission from the property owner?
Yes, sir.
Because we put this together just not too many years ago, and now we have some changes, but it's not gonna make things worse, is it?
Mayor and Vice Mayor,
Is that a trick question?
it
Yeah.
it depends on your opinion of
Okay.
mobile food vendors.
'Cause we do enjoy a lot of that take place. And so, okay, I'll leave it at that. You've put a lot of thought into this.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Is the 250-foot distance from a residential zone, is that an arbitrary number? Is that something we came up with, or is that
Yes, Mayor and Councilman McGoy, that is part of the state statute. So if you would like to amend that, you may remove it. That is one regulation we can impose. If you would just like to limit it to commercial and industrial zones and eliminate the 250-foot distance, you may do that.
I didn't put enough time into this to know what I'm talking about, but there's currently a food vendor in Green's Furniture's front parking lot that doesn't meet that criteria. Is that part of why we're doing it, or does the rule mean, is the distance to the closest home in that zone, or is it to the zone? I guess is my
It
question.
states a residentially zoned area or within 250 feet of an area zoned for residential use. So if you would like, we may just remove the within 250 feet of an area zoned for residential use and allow them in commercial and industrial areas, which in this instance, that is commercially zoned property on Green's Furniture. So you can just remove the 250 feet distance.
Well, I'm just curious if we're doing that, trying to eliminate that, or
No, sir.
because the residentially, as I saw it, the residentially zoned property behind the car wash is about 125 feet away. And so it would eliminate the possibility of using that property. And I only looked at two that I know of, and that one was affected.
Yes, Mayor Ortega and Councilman McGoy, you are more than welcome to make that an amendment. It is not required by the state. You may remove that.
I think I would like to amend the ordinance by removing that. I would be okay with going to half that distance if that serves a purpose, but I don't see the need for it.
So would we consider that
So my question would be too, like, so like if the Catholic Church on Cinco de Mayo wanted food vendors, I don't think they do, but would this, the way it is right now with the 250, would that not allow that?
Mayor Ortega and Councilman Arbizo, that would be in a special event, and those are governed differently. Mobile food vendors on city property are also governed differently. This
Okay.
would just be the food trucks that have a business license as a mobile food vendor.
If the property owner gives permission, does that take it away also?
Mayor Ortega and Councilman Lopez, if the property owner gives permission, they still have to follow the regulations that they can't make noise, odors, their light can't trespass onto other things. So Section 1 applies to any temporary use, and that will still apply to mobile food vendors as well.
And they also come for a variance?
Mayor Ortega and Vice Mayor Lopez, a variance is only a mechanism to allow a structure to be built if it is non-compliant. There would not be a variance application in this case.
Wouldn't that be a little bit hard? I mean, just with the odor, like, I don't know any mobile vendor that doesn't put out a smell from cooking their food, and it says odor. So isn't that pretty restrictive on them?
Mayor Ortega and Councilwoman Brantner, if Mr. Sims would answer that question, what the court usually finds in the cases of odor violations.
That would be, Jamie's done a very good job. This was driven by food vendors who wanted to prevent governments from restricting them. And so they gave you a whole list of things you can't do. But you all, though, can be more lenient and permit within 250 feet. Regarding odor, that would be a nuisance, and you have the power to enforce your own nuisance, but that's a really difficult power to enforce. But right now, what Jamie has done is she's taken the statute that the food vendors wanted. This wouldn't affect the Catholic Church because that wouldn't be a food vendor. But if there's an odor, you couldn't, this doesn't have anything to do with your nuisance ordinances. But it's going to be hard, it's going to be real hard to enforce a nuisance ordinance for the odor of cooking tamales, for example.
Okay, good.
True.
No.
About that.
So, am I reading this right? So number 1, it says prohibit or restrict a mobile food vendor from operating at a public airport. Weren't we trying to, Cameron? Aren't we trying to do food vendors out there?
Yes, Mayor and Councilman Arbizo, that's why our version does not include that. It says we are allowed to prohibit them, but because of our events there and Mr. Atkins promoting the area for food trucks, we did have the opportunity to remove that, and so we have. So,
On a weekend, we can,
yes, sir.
okay.
Mhm.
So we're not, okay.
So right now, I like the way it looks with the amendment that Mr. McCoy has placed.
And that was again to remove the 250 or to make it half?
Didn't matter to me. I think remove it probably is the easiest.
Okay, well, it sounds like we have a motion to remove the 250 and a second.
You wanted to remove all of it, right?
Would you like to second that?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Remove half.
So we would vote on the amendment first.
Amendment first?
Yours was remove half, right?
No.
No.
All, okay, there we go, okay. We have a second?
I seconded it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mayor, I move that we approve ordinance O24-012, amendment to Title 17 as amended.
Oh, Councilman Hemphill, it's a first reading.
Oh, sorry, first read of ordinance O24-012.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
This completes the first reading of ordinance number O24-012, an ordinance of the City of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, amending Title 17, Chapter 17.12.170, temporary uses and structures to update temporary use regulations within the City of Safford to comply with the Arizona state statutes, and also will be amending, removing the 250 regulation.
Okay, then we'll move on to item number 12, contracts and agreements and bids. First item is Axon Taser contract.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request for Mayor and City Council to authorize and enter a 5-year contract with Axon Enterprises for the purchase and licensing of Taser 7 electronic control device. Strategic goals are quality of life and public safety. Excuse me. The Axon Taser product is a conducted energy device that is used to temporarily incapacitate a person by delivering an electronic current to their body. Tasers are used to control a violent or potentially violent person while minimizing the risk of serious injury to officers or suspects. Excuse me. The Axon Taser is one of the most popular, less lethal devices for law enforcement. They're used by more than 90% of law enforcement throughout the country, throughout the United States. The Safford Police Department has employed the tasers as part of their standard issue equipment since the early 2000s. The use and deployment of a taser or electronic control device is written into our department's use of force policy. The analysis is that the Axon Taser is the industry standard. What that means is there's really not a whole lot of other devices out there. So we've been using them since their inception, since they first came into use. We have policy and procedure directing their use and implementation. We currently have instructors on staff trained as train-to-trainers, so they're trained to train our officers in the use and deployment of the taser, and it's mandatory in-house training for all sworn personnel. We have the devices and associated equipment, which includes the taser cartridges, equipment, holsters, training equipment, and materials in our inventory. This contract includes the hardware, software, and warranties. Contract is effective from December 2024 through December 2028. Total amount of the 5-year contract is $92,333.06, broken down over 5 years. The first year, $16,499.97, with the subsequent 4 years at $18,958.29 per year. The first year cost has already been budgeted into the annual department budget, with the subsequent years to follow accordingly. Staff recommends that the mayor and council authorize and enter a 5-year contract with Axon Enterprises for the purchase and licensing of Axon Tasers. Included in the packet is the contract. And I will stand for questions.
We already have everything, and it still costs this much?
Mayor, vice mayor, yes, sir. They're expensive devices. They have to be replaced every few years.
And that's part of the contract, they replace them?
Yes, sir.
They replace them?
Yes, sir.
This price?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
and the warranty?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's built in. If you look at your copy of the contract, it's actually built into there where we get them. Usually on a 3-year rotational basis, 3 to 5 years, depending on their use.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
When it talks about like the live standoff, is that training, like the video training for you guys to be using for this, or what is all this that they're bundling in it?
So the bundles included, so basically our bundles include tasers, cartridges, licensing, and software.
Okay.
Our instructors go to what we call train the trainer for instruction. We have a big fake mat that we actually use to deploy the tasers unless we get somebody volunteer, which is rare.
I think the council wants to volunteer.
Yeah,
Right now.
we can make that happen.
Luke's never done
Got
it.
some volunteers.
I believe he has. When they first go through it, has to get tased. So yeah, well, that wasn't my fault.
I was just wondering because it says like live close quarter, so I didn't know what that is.
Yeah, it's basically when we send our trainers to the training, they get the training to come back and pass on to our officers.
So is it like an annual training that the instructors will be going to?
I will have to get back to you on that. I'm not sure if it's annual or biannual. They do have to go every couple of years
Just for their certification?
for
to be
their
able to train?
certification.
I was like, because I don't think they really changed, do they?
Oh,
I mean, unless they
well,
get a great new model.
just to kind of touch on that, Taser kind of cornered the market, so it's at their whim of how they're going to change. But this gets us into a 5-year contract, so we are locked into that for these devices for those 5 years because I'll be honest, they do change pretty often with cameras, tasers, other equipment the
Do you
officers.
get the updated? So if they update TASER, we're not using the outdated, they just send you the new, or do we have to purchase that?
No, we will continue to use the TASER 7 for the 5 years that we have the contract.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Mayor, I move that we approve a 5-year contract with Axon Taser in the amount of $92,333.06.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the Axon Taser contract. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 2, is the Safford Regional Airport. And would like to go into executive session on this, please. A few minutes. We need a motion.
Mayor, I move that we go into executive session to discuss item 12.2.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to go into executive session to discuss item number 2, Safford Regional Airport. Need a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, we'll be adjourned for a few minutes. Okay, we'll go ahead and go back to item number, we'll go into our regular meeting. Item number 2, it's the Safford Regional Airport Passenger Air Service.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request from Mayor and Council to approve a contract with Grand Canyon Scenic Airlines Incorporated to provide scheduled passenger air service between Safford and Phoenix, as well as to approve the expenditure of contingency funds for supporting functions related to the implementation of air service. The strategic goals for this project are growth and development and financial management. Background: over the last 2.5 years, staff has been pursuing options to bring scheduled airline service to Safford. Beginning in 2022, the city budgeted $150,000 in the Economic Development Fund as seed money for the project. In the fall of 2023, the city received a $100,000 grant from the Freeport Community Investment Fund to be used for air service development. Finally, in October of this year, the city received a grant for $800,000 under the Small Community Air Service Development Program, or SCADP, through the United States Department of Transportation. During the course of this process, the airport manager and the city manager met with airlines and discussed options to bring scheduled passenger service to Safford in a method that meets the community's needs and budget and is sustainable long-term without a subsidy. 2 of those airlines submitted proposals to the airport in November of this year. Staff reviewed the proposals submitted by the airlines and found that the proposal submitted by Grand Canyon Airlines represents the best value for the community, with 2 daily flights on 9-seat Cessna Caravan turboprop aircraft. Given the volatile nature of the airline industry and costs associated with starting a new airline route, the airport is proposing that the city enter into a contract with Grand Canyon Airlines with a monthly revenue guarantee, MRG, in an amount not to exceed $172,800. The actual monthly amount paid to the airline will be calculated by subtracting actual ticket revenue generated by the airline from the monthly guarantee. In this way, the MRG will offset any deficits in revenue not generated through ticket sales. The MRG will allow the city to market tickets at reasonable prices in order to encourage use by area residents and businesses. Additionally, in order to implement this service, additional staff are required. Under the proposed contract, the airport will provide baggage handling, customer service, and associated tasks for the airline in addition to normal airport duties. In order to provide these services 7 days per week, the airport is requesting contingency fund to reclass the part-time airport operations officer position to full-time and to add a new part-time position. Supporting costs will be partially offset by a customer service contract with the airline and passenger facilities fees paid by passengers. And you'll see the budget below, including expenses and revenues. In total, this project will require the use of $961,000 of contingency funding from the general fund. Projected revenues will offset the expenditure and net the airport additional revenue of approximately $3,000 depending on actual revenues. All costs and revenues shown are based on the remaining 6 months in FY 2025. To conclude, the staff is recommending that Mayor and Council authorize the city manager to enter into an air service agreement with Grand Canyon Scenic Airlines Incorporated. Staff also recommends that the Mayor and Council authorize the expenditure of $961,000 in contingency funds for the revenue guarantee and the cost of additional positions required to support the implementation of air service. Grant funds and projected airport revenues will provide the revenues to offset the expenditure of contingency funds. At this time, I will stand for questions.
Anybody have any questions?
So this $961,000 will pay for both your part-time going to full-time and your new part-time, and you can get those people, you can get people in time?
Yes, we actually have people that, I apologize, Mayor Ortega, Councilman McGoy, we have people on a weekly basis that ask about working at the airport, so we'll have no problem filling those positions.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Mayor. And also, the addition of these employees, they're also going to help you with the newly purchased fire truck for the airport.
Yes, Mayor Ortega, Vice Mayor Lopez, these individuals will also staff the fire truck and additional normal airport operations duties and airline services.
And Mayor, I just wanted to emphasize that in this project, $900,000 of the revenue that support this project is not city money. $800,000 of it is a grant, and $100,000 of it is money coming from the mine, from FMI. So $900,000 of the revenue associated with this activity is not the expenditure of city funds.
Anybody else? Any comments or questions?
I move we approve the permit with Grand Canyon Airlines.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the contract with Canyon Scenic Airlines. Any more discussion? Not all in favor? Opposed? Carries. Be exciting times. I think it'll be interesting.
Yes, Mayor Ortega, we're planning on January 6th will be our start date.
Okay.
Nice date.
Then we'll move on to number 3, 8th Avenue Sewer Extension. So award a contract number CIP number PK 2303.
This your first time?
It's my first time. All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request for Mayor and City Council to award a construction contract to HT4 from Safford, Arizona for the 8th Avenue Sewer Extension Project. This meets our strategic goals of growth and development and infrastructure expansion. This project is funded by the Wastewater Enterprise Funds with a budgeted amount of $1.2 million. The 8th Avenue Sewer Extension Project will consist of constructing a new 12-inch sewer main and associated appurtenances along 8th Avenue and 26th Street to Discovery Park Boulevard. The construction of the sewer main is Phase 1 of the Discovery Park Boulevard and 8th Avenue City Park. The sewer extension will serve the future park and surrounding areas. The sewer extension will also allow for future expansion to the south. The project was advertised and bidders are solicited in accordance with ARS formal bidding procedures. A notice for invitation to bid was published in the local newspaper. A mandatory pre-bid conference was held on October 30th and was attended by 4 prospective bidders. On November 14, 2024, the city clerk received 3 bids that were publicly read with the following results. HT4 at $699,170, BNF Contracting at $907,782.20, and WW Clyde at $971,832.45, with an engineer's estimate at just over $1.3 million. The 8th Avenue Sewer Extension is in the city's 5-year capital improvement plan and is planned for fiscal year 2025. The sewer extension is Phase 1 of the Discovery Park Boulevard and 8th Avenue City Park. Staff has found that the lowest bid submitted by HT4 is the lowest responsive bidder and is qualified to complete the work as specified for this project. Therefore, staff is recommending the contract award for the construction of the 8th Avenue Sewer Extension to HT4 in the amount of $699,170 and allow the city manager or his designee to execute contract change orders not to exceed 10% of the contract value, if in the best interest of the city to do so. I will stand for questions.
Nobody wants to go first.
Go ahead.
So the monies are also part of the park project we're looking forward to get going.
Correct, but this is specifically was funded out of our wastewater enterprise fund.
Yeah, and so, but now also, and I know you're thinking about it, and I know you guys think about it, I gotta ask, you are allowing for stub outs and every future development going on there, like 26th going on through to the highway eventually and
Yes,
fence?
so we'll have future stub out going to the west to the vacant area there, and then we'll also go to Discovery Park and leave stubs to the south and to the east, to the highway for future expansion from there.
This
if
is
needed.
just sewer. Are you taking advantage of this time to add any other infrastructure conduits at this time?
No, I don't believe we need, I think it's already in place.
Okay, electrical, gas, the whole deal. I just,
Yep.
no, I see you shaking your head. I know you guys thinking about it, but it just itches me to ask.
Yeah, Mayor, Vice Mayor, yes, we've got water, reclaimed water, electrical, gas in the area.
Part of the park project going forward. Mayor,
So where's the projected path of this?
So, Mayor, Councilman Obrizo, it'll stem from, it'll start at 26th Street and go south along 8th, and then it'll cut across where the future park will be to serve the park, and then it'll go across the wash and then go south to Discovery Park, and that's what it'll terminate.
It's not gonna be right down the middle of the road, right?
No, we will not be in the middle of the road. It'll be on just outside the pavement. Yeah. So we will cross the road at least once to get across back to the park. Yeah.
Just worried about,
Yeah.
traffic and all that stuff.
Mayor, I move that we approve the 8th Avenue sewer extension to HT4.
We have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 8th Street Sewer Extension Contract to HT4. All in favor? Opposed? Carries. Okay. Now we're going to go into a new work session, and we'll convene back into our regular meeting. Okay, the work session. Number 14. The signature stamp policy. B.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request to hold a work session to review and discuss the draft signature stamp policy, which aims to address the use of signature stamps for the elected officials. Background on this item is that currently the City of Safford does not have a process or a policy for the use of signature stamps for elected officials. And as part of an ongoing effort to improve administrative processes, the idea of using signature stamps for certain documents has been proposed. This policy will provide a clear guideline on when and how signature stamps can be used, who is authorized to use them, and the safeguards that will be in place to ensure that the stamps are not used improperly. Analysis is the proposed policy is designed to balance the need for efficiency with the requirement for security. By allowing authorized personnel to use signature stamps for specific categories of documents, the city can expedite its internal approval process, particularly in cases where there's time-sensitive decisions that need to be made. Recommendation is staff recommends that the mayor and the council review the attached draft policy and provide feedback. Based on council input, staff will refine the policy for future approval. The goal is to finalize the policy during the upcoming council meeting and begin implementation in early 2025. And the attachment is the draft signature policy. I can review it, or if you've already had a chance to review it. And with that, I stand for questions.
Anybody with any questions?
How often is there a time-sensitive situation, or has there been in your experience so far?
Mayor, Councilman Hemphill, newly into the city clerk position, I did run into a lot when we had Mayor Couts
Right.
due to his situation. But since then, Mayor Ortega is very efficient and comes in and signs, or he signs here at the meetings. The only other time that we might use it is if one of the council members asks they can't make it in to sign their birthday cards and they still want to be able to have their signature on birthday cards for the employees. We'll use it then. But other than that, there's really not any major use for it. The last one was the proclamation. there was a couple council members that asked for it to be signed, and that's just due to their employment schedule with aligning with ours and so forth.
Uh, you're just, are counselors the only ones that have stamps?
Mayor, Vice Mayor Lopez, yes, that's the only ones that have
No,
stamps.
no staff uses stamps.
As to my knowledge, no, unless my electronic signature is used for the employee checks that go out or vendor checks, but that's in the system, so that way I'm not signing thousands of checks every month.
Could electronic stamps kind of be in the same category as this? No?
I wouldn't think so, no.
Okay, well, I think this kind of came up because we had a historical document we were signing. And I think we were trying to get everybody to actually put a physical signature on that. And would have been real nice to have that done that way. The policy that you have written figures you don't need to address that. So you're not.
To addressing for historical items?
Yeah, like something just, it would have been better to have a actual signature on the proclamation we had for the the Native Americans.
Mayor, Vice Mayor Lopez, and to address that, that was the council members' decision to use their stamp. Honestly, in all other items, there's not all signatures from the council. It's always usually just the mayor, or if the mayor is absent, then it's the vice mayor's signature. But there is hardly any documents where all 7 of the signatures are required.
So that could be accomplished if that,
If we happen to have another proclamation with all 7 signatures, then yes, but in the more common sense, the proclamations are only signed by the mayor. That one was just an exception because we wanted to reflect all 7 council members on the proclamation.
and stamps are being used for the birthday cards too.
That's correct.
Hmm.
And again, we just have that as a courtesy to the council members if they want us to use the stamps or not. I mean, some months there's only 10, other months there's 30. Just kind of fluctuates every single month, schedules with their employment. We send out an email. Jessica takes care of all the birthday cards. Sometimes we hear back from everyone, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we get a quick call, hey, please just stamp it for me. So at least they're making the acknowledgement that they want their signature on the cards, but for me, I completely understand that sometimes they can't make it in to sign those.
I'm just wondering,
I was just wondering, maybe we can just add that if we're going to use the stamp on an official document, there needs to be like an extenuating circumstance. I mean, Brad was out of town and came in and he signed. So maybe an extenuating circumstance of us not signing. I don't see a need for us to use a stamp on an official document if we're here at the meeting. The
Well,
document's
and
here.
I think because of the diversity of instances where you would sign a document, it's hard to kind of write a policy that kind of can take advantage of every situation, every eventuality. And I'm just wondering, and especially with the attorney online, if it would be possible for council to make a request. So let's say in the case of the proclamation, that was kind of a historic document, could a council member say, I would like to make a motion that this document have an actual wet signature as opposed to a stamp, and then vote on it in that instance, as opposed to, because it becomes very hard to pick every single circumstance where you would want one versus not. So I don't know if Mr. Sims can chime in, and maybe in that instance, you could make a motion and say, because of the nature of this document, I make a motion that, we get wet signatures on this, and then see if there's a second and a vote. Again, to me, that would be an efficient way of doing it. The other way, I kind of marveled at what B came up with, because I thought about how do we approach this, and there's so many ways to approach it that it's difficult to figure out, how do you cover all eventualities? And maybe in those cases where it really rises to the level where you would want, as in the case of the proclamation, maybe you can request that it be a vote and make it an actual vote of the council. And Mr. Sims, would that work?
Yes, sir. What B has done, she's given you the default is that you can use the stamp as a regular course of action. In the event there's a significant document that you wish to sign with real signatures, you could authorize that. It'd be sort of like Ben Franklin saying, I don't want to use stamps. I want us all to sign the Constitution. And so you could actually, but this would require council to step in and in effect say, no, we don't want the stamp signatures. This document is so important. We want wet signatures, and you have the power to do that. This document, the way Beat has drafted it, the presumption would be you're okay with stamps. If you want something different, you could require it.
I like the idea that we bring it up at the time because it'll be, like you mentioned, very seldom does it come up that the council or council member requests it to be a sign, however they
Right,
call it.
and
wet
again,
sign.
it makes it's
And then we
simpler.
vote on it.
Because you would be in a situation where in that instance, hey, this particular instance, it's harder to write, again, all the different permutations that might come up, whereas if you're in a meeting and you have that proclamation, you could say, in the case of this document, and you could do it at any time, at any particular document you choose, and say, I would like to add that council, I would like to make a motion that council sign this document with a wet signature, and then you could vote on it in real time, and you would have infinite flexibility at that point.
Is there documents? Is there documents that we are not allowed to use the stamp on?
I think
Or what?
they're in there.
Mayor, Councilwoman Bratner, yes. So there's no state statute, and Bill can correct me, but in my research, there is no state statute that requires a wet signature, especially with modern day technology. Here locally, the Graham County Recorder Office, anything like the ordinance we passed tonight for that rezone, when I go to file or to record that rezone or the ordinance, they will not take an electronic signature. And Bill can attest to this, that I've turned into overnighting him a FedEx envelope with the return envelope so he can sign and send it right back to me. So there's not a time lapse there for us to get it recorded. So that's the only one here locally that they will not take a electronic signature or a stamp. It has to be a wet signature.
These right, for example, state statute requires the mayor to sign any deed that you're a party to. And then to record that, the title company and the recorder will require an actual signature. So normally, wet signatures are not required. B just described one, I just described the other, trying to record a deed for a real property.
And also, Mayor Ortega, I'd like to state on the record that I do not have stamps for everybody. It's only those that have since requested for me to have a stamp. I think it all came from a lot of it being used when Mayor Couts was around. And just be advised that, God forbid we do end up in that same situation, that let's not make this policy tie us down to where we can't have that access to the stamp in the event that we do for medical reasons or absences of any of the council members.
So are we on the right track? Because this is harder than it sounds to get this nailed down as a policy, but does that sound like even having that flexibility might give you what you need?
Yeah, we're just wanting some type of policy in place since we had nothing.
Sure.
Nothing to fall back on.
Okay. So at this point, is there anything in the policy as presented that we would want to amend?
Do we have to put anything in there that states that we can motion for it?
No, that would just be, and again, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that would just be an act of council, unlike any other circumstance, that you can make that request as a motion. Would that be correct? Mr. Sims?
Get my mic off, I'm sorry, yes.
So you could literally in real time request
Yes.
that a document receive wet signatures, and so you'd be in the moment, you would know at that time, so in the case of the proclamation, you would have been able to make that request and make a motion.
I like that.
Is that language we'd want in the policy, though, just in case somebody went off reading the policy?
I suppose we could put it in there.
Learn,
Sure.
I don't know that anybody looks through those in a way to inform themselves about how to act in a meeting, but
Well, I mean, and I think we could add it, because if we have the question about whether or not it's allowed, we would be informing future councils that it is
Exactly,
indeed
that's
allowed,
what-
so
that's the
we
point
could
I'm
add
making.
that.
just
Sure.
informative.
Sure.
And sometimes common sense plays into a lot of these little things like that myself. Just plain old
So-
common sense.
We can put a statement in there that if council chooses to make it an action item to request a wet signature on a document, they have that ability. Would that serve for you guys?
Yes.
Okay, so with that amendment, and again, this is a work session,
Right.
so we're just,
I just want to make a comment. You did a great job, be on the policy, but in my opinion, we have a lot of policies, and I don't really see the need for the policy. I think a lot of it, and majority of it, is common sense, and that's just my opinion. But I like the idea of if someone wants a wet signature on a document, then we can decide that during that item when it's brought to council. But in my opinion, I think we have a lot of policies, and I don't really see the need for another. But
Good. I like it.
Mayor
Anybody else?
Ortega, Councilwoman Flores, thank you for the comment. Again, the only time we ever use the stamp is if absolutely someone, and it's usually mayor's signature that we need. But again, he's on it. He's always coming in and signing. Yeah, the proclamation is the first one I've ever seen where it requires all of the council signatures, but I usually try to get wet signatures on everything. And then the birthday cards, of course, but
And Alma, I don't disagree in principle with what you said, and I've lost track, but I don't know how many things we've come across in my 4 years where somebody says, we don't have any, there is nothing in writing to say how we're doing this or that. So I don't mind that there's something that can be referred to. Even though this one is common sense, but if you didn't put it down, how would anybody know that making the motion at the moment is an appropriate thing to do? So I'm good with a simple policy.
thank you.
So the sense I have is at least bring it back for a vote with the amendment that we talked about, with the idea of being able to vote on it in real time, and then go from there.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, again, Mayor Ortega, council members, we try to get wet signatures because it's really hard to try to put the the stamp on exactly on the line. How many times do we have to reprint? But yeah, we usually get, for the most part, wet signatures. So
But if I don't come in on the birthday card, put mine upside down
upside down. Gotcha.
if you want.
Thank you.
Okay, then we'll go on to item 2, conflict of interest policy.
Good
Danielle?
evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request for the Mayor and Council to provide discussion and direction on an updated conflict of interest policy that includes gifts and solicitation provisions and eliminates the separate gifts and solicitations policy. The strategic goals are HR management. The background is the current conflict of interest policy has not been updated since 2017 and does not provide sufficient guidance to address most conflict of interest issues. Additionally, the staff gifts and solicitations policy hasn't been updated since 1999. A clear and defined conflict of interest policy helps ensure that employees act in the best interests of the organization rather than being influenced by personal relationships or financial interests. Notable changes in the new recommended policy include the following: thorough examples of prohibited activities that are considered conflicts of interest are prohibited to help identify conflicts as they arise. The responsibilities of all employees, including management, HR, and the city attorney, are provided so that procedures are clear for everyone when handling conflicts. Disclosure, audit, procurement, and gifting processes in regard to conflicts of interest outlined for clarity. Please note, page 203 of the agenda packet, section 2AI of the policy has been changed since the policy was submitted as an agenda item to remove public officers and addresses employees only. With that, I'll stand for any questions you may have.
Are we just updating, or is this something that needed done? Because as I was reading through it, it just feels like it's kind of targeted at employees. Like, I don't know, something with their families. I don't know. It didn't rub me right. It just kind of seemed off.
So, Mayor, Councilmember Bratner, I do not have any current conflict of interest policies. This policy was recommended by our league lawyers. It's actually a current policy being used at other municipalities, specifically the city of Surprise, I believe. And it's just to update the HR manual, as I have been doing to have more thorough policies.
So with the definitions, like in section B, it states like the policy, the family member means spouse, child, child's child. So this is like, we're getting down to where like our grandkids, like
Yes,
an
that is.
employee's grandchild, things like that. I mean,
Yes,
aren't we
it
kind
is
of
pretty
reaching?
it is pretty common in conflict of interest policies to identify what's considered a family member, just in case you get involved in a an employee gets involved in a conflict that involves their family.
And that's a pretty standard
Yeah.
description of family, yeah.
Yeah.
We're not going outside of any norm there.
Not that I know of, no.
It is the statute. That definition is right out of the statute.
Right, and I'd like to add too, and I know we're in work session, so I'm trying to be casual with it. And it goes back to the comment I made about the other policy. Most of what we've done on these is just make them up to date to the statute.
Yes, so our current policy seemed pretty narrow. And when I started looking at policies from other municipalities, it confirmed my thoughts that our policy was very narrow, didn't give good examples, that kind of thing. And so I reached out to the league for a more thorough policy.
Yeah, as long as we're following best practices and statutes, then it's hard to.
Yeah, this is
Hard to
very, it follows the state statutes pretty closely.
And so what about if it's not just family? Because we've had a instance where I had a complaint from someone out in the community that a city employee was on a committee with them and made some statements and those didn't come true. And so they were kind of upset with the employee. Are we not, is this broad enough where it would cover like if they're on a board of some type of outside activity, like they're not necessarily representing the city, but they're like, oh, I work for the city, I can help you out with this?
I'd like to defer that question to the city attorney, Bill. Do you have a response?
Actually, right now, the reason this is written the way it's written, and Danielle went to the HR law firm who assists you, who recommended this. Initially, the way it was written until the change was made, it applied to you. And I looked at that and I said, no, no, no. You guys have a statute. You understand the statute. You follow the statute. You get briefed on it by the league. And you don't need all these particulars. I suspect the HR lawyer, the person that Daniel talked to, is using this as a way, and I'll answer your question, Councilwoman, in a minute. This is a way of telling your employees what the rules are, because they may not be aware of them. Now, regarding the question, if an employee is on a different committee, just because you have an employee doesn't mean she can't be on other committees.
Right.
I mean, she has every right to do that. But if she's there suggesting that her position as a town employee that violates the statute. That is, and so the policies here would target that.
Okay.
That would be using her position as an employee for a use outside the city's the use of the city. So I recommend this. I like taking you guys out of it. I think it's very comprehensive. The law firm who recommended it, I agree with him. I wasn't involved in that, but I totally agree with it. And what it is, it provides a very good, detailed explanation for your employees, because they often don't know what the law is. You do.
Just want to make sure everybody's okay with voting themselves a Christmas bonus. That's not a conflict. We're good there.
There's a statute that expressly allows you to do that.
Okay.
But that was a good question.
I just want to ask on section 2 where it talks about the employee shall refrain from purchasing property from the city of Safford. Does that include during a competitive, like an auction? Are they not allowed to participate in auctions?
So the policy is written to where it says unless awarded a contract via the public competitive bidding process.
Okay, so it does include, so they can go to an auction and purchase.
Right.
Okay.
Like the ones we have out here.
Right, at the county, yes. I just wanted to make sure that it didn't prohibit that for them.
No.
Anybody else? Thank you. Thank you. And we'll close the work session and reconvene into our regular meeting. Item number 16, report on operational items. First item, library art exhibit.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I wanted to come up here and speak a little bit about the exhibit that is currently packaged in the back of the program room that will be leaving by the end of next week. And I kind of wanted to give you some background as to why the exhibit has been here and what our goals were when we bring these types of exhibits to the community. We look a lot at quantitative data, how many people come to view it, but we're also looking a lot at qualitative data and the impacts we can make. So I'm going to have my assistant director and my senior library technician speak more to the exhibit themselves. Our assistant director, Leslie Talley, she's the one that's organized all of our school exhibits, and she's really strived to increase our school partnerships in the last 5 to 6 years, and she's done a phenomenal job at having more and more school districts come to view the library and the services we provide. And our senior library technician, Araceli Moreno, she was a big integral part of the field trips this year. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my assistant director.
Mayor and Council, as our library director said, we're just going to go over a little bit about what the exhibit was and the selection process of how we decide to do these exhibits. This is our 4th year of doing an exhibit in the fall. It's something that we plan on continuing doing because we found that it is a really good way to foster those partnerships in the community that are so important to us. It also just brings a lot of value to the library and what we're offering the public. So the purpose of library programs as a whole, and I believe this is straight from our policies, encouraging the use of the library and its resources, promote literacy, acquisition of skills, and lifelong enjoyment of reading and learning, develop information literacy, present information that is relevant to community interest, facilitate the sharing of knowledge and expertise, increase educational and cultural opportunities for students through school partnerships. So that is the why of why we do the programs. And then when we're looking at these to select them, we're looking for a specific set of criteria, relevance to the library's mission and values, relation to existing programs or services, representation of diverse points of view, national or local significance, availability of resources, staffing, cost, and funding. As I mentioned, this is year 4. Our first 3 years were STEM exhibits that were through a large StarNet grant through NASA, and this was our first year doing an art exhibit. So the exhibit was Sonia Dora by Gigi Morales. You guys probably saw some of the art that part of it was displayed in this room. It was here from September until today when we pulled the exhibit down. It was loaned through the National Center for Children's Illustrated Literature. They're based in Abilene, Texas. There was 61 plus pieces of original artwork and 14 books. Just a quick look at who this artist is. Again, her name was Gigi Morales. She is a Caldecott honoree, and the Caldecott is an award by the American Library Association to highly regarded American picture books for children. And she was actually the first Latina illustrator to be designated with the Caldecott honor. She also is a several-time winner of the Pura Belpre Award, and that award is presented to a Latino or Latina writer or illustrator whose work best portrays, affirms, and celebrates the Latino cultural experience and an outstanding work of literature for children and youth. So she is a highly regarded artist, illustrator, and author. So as we mentioned, one of the big reasons we do these is to foster that relationship with our schools. And this one is just a really good example of that. So during November, we had 10 different school visits that usually happen in the morning before we open to the public. We saw kids from Safford, from Thatcher, Pima, Fort Thomas, Triumphant Learning Center, and the Arizona Arts Academy that's located in Pima. So across those 10 visits, we had 468 students here in the library to view the exhibit. While they were here, it was a 2-part field trip. We split them into groups and rotated through stations, so they were able to go onto the main floor of the library and hear one of the stories and work on alliteration and a few other skills, making a name for themselves using their own name. And then the other half was here in this room, and during that we took a deep dive into the artist as her and her career, but also a chance for the kids to really get a good deep look at the artwork. And they did a couple of writing and drawing prompts to go with that. There's a couple of pictures of the kids up there enjoying that. So those are kind of the stats of how it went as far as numbers and the fact that it did foster those relationships. But the other part of it that we do want to make sure that we bring out is kind of the personal stories that come along with those field trips and the impact it had on individual students. So with that, I'll turn the rest of the time over to our senior library technician.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Araceli Moreno, Senior Library Technician here at the Safford Library. I'm here tonight to share a powerful story inspired by the Gigi Morales Soñadora exhibit and to highlight the significant impact exhibits like this have on our rural community and its students. The library offers hundreds of programs each year, from educational activities to hobby-focused events and to insightful traveling exhibits, each contributing meaningfully to our community. However, this exhibit distinguished itself in its exceptional impact and unique significance. Gigi Morales migrated to the U.S. and found her voice and power through libraries, teaching herself to read, write, and speak English. Many students, like Gigi, and many in our community, face similar challenges every day. This exhibit allowed us to collaborate with the Safford School District EL Title I group, working closely with students learning English. For the first time ever, we offered a fully Spanish-led field trip experience, a transformative approach that celebrated students' native language while guiding them with tools and inspiring them to continue their EL education. It also incorporated their culture, creating a space where they felt seen and valued. As the Assistant Library Director mentioned earlier, we offered field trips to other schools in the county, and these field trips followed a slightly different approach since most of these students already know English. One interaction stands out, occurred during a field trip with a group of third graders. During the activity, I noticed one young girl in the second group struggling. A classmate explained that she didn't speak English, so I approached her and asked her in Spanish, ¿Cómo te llamas? Once she understood the question, her face lit up and she shared her name with a smile. As the group lined up to leave, she came up to me and asked in broken English, ¿Speak Spanish? I replied, sí, and she confided that her English wasn't very good and that she didn't feel confident speaking it. I reassured her saying, that's okay, you'll learn very quickly. I shared the example of Gigi Morales, who taught herself English by reading books at the library. Hearing this, her eyes sparkled, and with determination, she said, voy a leer más libros. I'm going to read more books. These are the moments that remind us how much exhibits like this change lives. It's in these small yet profound exchanges that we see how art, language, and learning can inspire young individuals to dream bigger and believe in their potential. This exhibit has not just been an opportunity to view beautiful art, but to connect with the students and in turn inspire them to grow, to read, and to understand that they too can achieve anything they set their minds to. This exhibit is a testament to what makes our community strong, a place where art and education unite to enrich lives, create opportunities, and to enhance the quality of life for all of our residents.
Are there any questions for us?
All I can say is you do a very good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
You guys do always have something going on, and you know our proclamation last month for the Native Americans.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to give you more work to do, but maybe keep that in mind too for next year if we end up being able to work with them.
Yes, so Mayor and Vice Mayor, we didn't mention, but we do have exhibits coming in the next 3 falls. So next year will be exoplanets, and that's another one that's coming to us through NASA and the National Science Foundation. In 26, we will have a Holocaust exhibit from the Holocaust Museum that's going to speak to America's reaction to the Holocaust. And in 2027, we do have an exhibit from the Smithsonian, Why We Serve Native Americans in the Military. So that is coming in the next several falls.
And again, congratulations on being able to go all the way to Washington to receive an award from I didn't forget the lady's title.
The Librarian of Congress. Yes, sir.
Library of Congress. Great,
Yes.
great to see.
Thank you.
This is fantastic. I appreciate all the hard work that goes into putting something like this together. A lot of hours.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Health savings account, Danielle.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This agenda item is to update the Mayor and Council concerning the health savings account contribution limits that will be increasing in January of 2025. Strategic goals are HR management to maintain industry-based salary and benefits programs. In 2023, Council approved an HSA policy that established the intent to increase the City of Safford employer-paid contribution match as the IRS increases the HSA contribution limits. By continuing to revisit the city's match annually, the city is able to gradually increase the city's contribution to keep this employee benefit current. By keeping the city's HSA match current, the city is encouraging savings for employee health and retirement needs. Additionally, providing this employer-paid contribution match encourages employees to subscribe to the high deductible health plan, which has lower monthly premium costs for the city compared to the EPO health plan, and reduces the employer's cost to provide health insurance. And then you have a table in the council communication that shows the increase. The single plan is going from $4,150 to $4,300, and the family plan is going from $8,300 to $8,550. With that, I'll stand for any questions you have.
You're just doing 24 paychecks because you're keeping it annual.
Yes. So we only have insurance premiums deducted out of 24 paychecks. We don't have insurance premiums coming out of the third paycheck. That happens twice per year.
And Mayor and Council, the reason this is operational item is because we did budget for this. So we just wanted to make you aware that in January, those numbers change.
And remind me, Danielle, but wasn't this another area where we were kind of behind? Like we weren't contributing the,
The original intent was to match half, and then there was several years before we started looking at the benefit that the increase, like the IRS had increased the max allowable, but the city hadn't increased the
Right.
employer match. So we caught that up the last couple of years, and this is just to keep
right, and
keep
the
that
idea was
going.
to catch up and then keep caught up.
Right.
Did we lose some because when there was some changes in healthcare, there was no longer high deductible or something? You have to belong to a high deductible to qualify for this?
Correct. The HSA is tied to subscribing to the high deductible health plan. Every year it's going to change a little bit just depending on employee circumstances, but we did not have as many sign up as far as how much we budgeted for, so we are saving money in that regard.
Tax deductible right off the top?
Yeah.
Will this be automatic or do the employees have to come in and
The
do paperwork?
employees have to put their requests for contribution changes in writing. So I'm going to reach out to everybody that has an HSA account, let them know that there is this change, and ask them if they want to change their contribution.
It's a good deal. They get 50% right off theirs now.
Yes, so we match whatever they put into their health savings account, up to half of the max allowable.
Okay. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to item number 3, the Safford Police Department Citizens Academy. Brian?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just want to give you a quick overview of our, it's actually our third annual Citizens Academy. Overall, the academy was successful. It's an 8-week program, basically where we engage with the community, try to get people to come out, be transparent about our operations, show them what we do, give them some firsthand experience into the daily lives and daily operations at the police department. Again, it's an 8-week academy. We had 16 attendees, just from different aspects of the community. This academy, we didn't limit it to Safford residents. We branched out. We also branched out by involving Graham County Sheriff's Office and the Thatcher Police Department. Some of the highlights of the activities or the classes that they did were patrol operations, investigations, use of force, traffic stops, simunitions. You'll see in some of the videos, there may be even some local employees in some of these videos that shoot the wrong person, but we won't highlight those. Some of the feedback we received lots of positive feedback. Some of the highlights was just the hands-on experience that they were able to get. Kind of seeing an idea of what it is that a police officer does. That it's not all riding around in cars and driving fast, things like that. One of the biggest takebacks was the use of force protocols when you can and can't use force. So it was kind of an eye opener. I'm not gonna, there's tons of educational benefits, building trust, transparency, and just engaging with their community. One of the things with us tonight, we have Kenny Crum. She's going to kind of come up and give you some of her experiences. She and I actually shared a conversation at the end of the academy, how she gained a greater appreciation. Kind of didn't have an idea of what we were doing, and she was able to basically just get a greater appreciation. But I won't speak for her. I'll let her come up here and speak, and that's important to us as well. We need that kind of feedback to make sure we're going in the right direction. One of the focuses when I came in was public outreach, and we've really engaged in that. And this is just one of the forms we have. So I'm gonna have Kenny come up and put her on the spot for a second.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Again, hi there. As he introduced me, I am Kenny Crum, and I was an attendee at the Academy as well. As he stated before, there were several city employees that attended. And to elaborate on what he had touched base on our conversation, by nature, I tend to be an inquisitive person. And so in leadership roles, like a lot of times there's always a need. And so I was wondering, why was the academy put together? Like, there's sometimes, was there a disconnect? Was there something that occurred that created this academy was my question. Like, why? What started this was my question. And he quickly answered that to bridge the community with the services that what they do and how they do it on a daily basis. We learned so much, and the most exciting part of it was that it was hands-on, that you don't often know the outer workings that are involved in what goes on a daily basis with the officers. And not only the officers, but those that are the support. For example, dispatch. The people at the jail when you're bringing someone in, the canines that help right along with the officers. So many things that we were allowed to see that then taught me the transparency that is there, that the community should be more involved and have a knowledge of things. And at the end, I was like, I am your biggest advocate, going in not knowing what to expect on just a suggestion from Officer Hill, who was like, this seems like something that you would love and enjoy, and being kind of skeptical of the unknown to end up where I was. Like I said, I'm the biggest advocate for this academy. I don't know, I speak off the cuff. I didn't write anything down, and so I wasn't, again, what to expect tonight, but I then turned the time over for questions. I think I would be better at answering a question than I would telling what I experienced.
I just think it's impressive that you would go. I with things like this that are offered to the community, I often think, what would motivate somebody to want to participate. I'm always impressed with people that do.
Same,
Take
and
your
myself
own time to
included.
do that.
I agree. And 8 weeks is a commitment, and not only for the people that are attending, but for the people who are teaching and coming out and spending their time to be there to show us what they do. And I often think that a lot of times we take advantage or don't take advantage of, we will share what we like, if that makes sense, or what we do or our interests. So you could tell that the people involved love what they do, that they were sharing what they do on a daily basis, if that makes sense. That someone will sit and listen if you are intent and love what you do. And people will talk about what they love doing. And so I feel that all the entities that were involved were amazing. And I would have to, I would be remiss if I don't share the fact that on the last night, and I get overwhelmed, so I apologize, that we got to actually shoot guns. And I called my son, and he's only 12, and he's like, Mom, you can do this. Like, I would love to do this. And so I did then take the time to find out that there's a youth, you have to be in high school, but they offer it for the youth. And that everything I did, he was just on the cusp of grabbing of what, the excitement of what I was doing. And so it gave me the empowerment to actually shoot the gun. And I was probably the only one that took I don't know, somebody help me, target. Thank you. Took my target because I was so proud to show my own 12-year-old kid that, yeah, I did this. And some of the stories that I heard of the people that repeated the course. And I would love to, but I would hate to take the place of somebody who would love to do this, So anyway, I'm sorry. And I'm not great on proper etiquette, but I know you as Brad. So I hate to take your time.
No,
To share.
yeah, I'm happy you shared that.
Yeah. And I know you would too.
When I went through, I was taken aback by how much the body cameras do pick up, and how they really tell the story and can help both sides.
Yes.
Quite a bit.
And I'm getting my etiquette Vice Mayor Lopez, but I know you personally. So it's so hard to keep proper etiquette, and I apologize because I know so many of you on a personal level, and I've never been to one of these, so excuse me for not doing it correctly. But you're correct, the videos, and sometimes you did know the people in the videos, and it's just our community. And so to know that these hardworking men and women are out here doing this and to share this with us. And I probably got off subject a little bit, but
Right.
please. And so say yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
No, as long as you're our biggest advocate, we'll bring you back every time. Thank you, Kenny. That was, just kind of a personal experience that we really wanted to share. One of the things I really do want to mention for all my staff, which every one of my staff participated, both sworn and civilian. We also, as she said, had dispatch in the jail in Thatcher and County, so we're grateful for them. We've got a quick video, not 3 seconds quick, maybe a little longer. You may recognize some of the people in this video. So.
That's all you've done is pull me over. I'm not going to prison! Bring back my mail! Bring back my mail! Hey! All you do is arrest. I just want a couple of questions. Yeah, all you police, you pull me over every time I go into town. Ma'am, take a deep breath. Ma'am, oh wait, hold on. Ma'am, I need you to. My gun is out. It didn't work, and now we have
Stop
no
the
money.
police! Everyone show me your hands.
What are you doing in my house?
Show me your hands.
No, this
Show
is
me your hands.
This is between me and him.
Stop for police.
This
You got a call for your disturbance.
Hey, this is between me and him. Hey, get out of my house.
No.
Get out!
For disturbance.
Leave us
alone. I'm just gonna shoot myself.
He has gambled all of our money away.
Follow me
We
out.
like have no money because.
I'm done. No, hey, put your gun down. Put your gun down. Put your gun down.
Yeah, well, go ahead. Just do it. No, that is my bed now.
No, it's our bed. Well, it's gonna be mine and your sister's bed. What do you want? Hey, calm down. Get out of my house. You don't live here. What's going on here? Nobody told you could come into my house. What's going on? Get out.
I'll tell you what's going on. I caught him in bed with my sister.
Well, her sister's a lot better than what she is. Hey, calm down. Calm down. I get so sick of it. She's never had. what?
Hey, knock it off. Stop it.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Help me.
Out of roll!
Again, we just like to thank everybody that participated as well as all the staff, not just from our agency, from other agencies. It's important. Again, we're always looking for ways to improve it and continue to move forward. Coming up in the start of the summer, we'll do our teen academy and keep that on a rotation. So, any questions?
Note to
All right,
self,
thank you.
Thank you,
don't
Brent.
upset the clerk.
Clerk by day to officer by night.
Utilizing those funds.
Okay, then we'll move on to item number 17, financial reports. Number 1 is the P card reports. Everybody have a chance to look at it? Any questions?
I just had the one, I know we've been talking about updating and getting the descriptions, and it kind of looked like the electric department, not to call anybody out, but they kind of went backwards, and we just got very little, just hotel, room, WHS flags. We just kind of we went backwards on that one. Everything else looked really good. I was just wondering if we could maybe reiterate with that one.
Perhaps our finance director would like to come up and speak to the review of the P cards and the descriptions.
I mean, I know they're older, but I thought we were going forward.
Well, I think that's part of the problem with the descriptions, right? Everybody, it's not one author. You have multiple employees putting them in, and depending on who's putting them in, how in tune they are. So we've been trying to review them at the finance level to kind of get them up to speed. But again, I think it's dependent on the employee, but we do try to do a review.
So yeah, that's not one of the reviews we look for is the hotels. It's more of the generic descriptions. I haven't focused on travel. Usually what you don't see on these reports is there's actually a travel authorization that goes with that procurement. So there is something that gives more information. Again, you just don't see it. So that hasn't been one of the focuses, but we can bring it up at tomorrow's staff meeting.
I was just wondering, I just wanted to make sure that we are just continuing with the descriptions because I had noticed those didn't have as much as we did before. Nothing.
I think on any expenditures, there's a paper trail that really tracks it all, explains everything. It's not, it can't be put down on a piece of paper that you bring to the council meetings. But
No, it's
there's
just-
documentation on everything.
I'm just asking for transparency to the community because they can't see that documentation. So just for transparency.
Some of the way it's getting charged now is different than in the past. Like some people that aren't even in that department are charging to that department. So I guess you're trying to keep track of it even closer now.
So yeah, there's a special routings that we did for like utilities in this month. One of the biggest changes is we made our utility directors give up the responsibility of putting in their P card information and let their centralized office administrator take care of that work for them. So you'll see Jennifer Bryce name on multiple utilities, even though she only serves under support. But yeah, we tried to mitigate the amount of work that they were having to do on their own P cards and have Jennifer Bryce do some of that work for them. But that creates a special approval routing. Again, the routing goes through Jennifer Bryce initiates it. It goes back to whoever the division is, and then it goes back to Jason, who's the ultimate utility director. So
Yeah, because I didn't, never thought I'd see like one person here using her funds. It just, but I can see why you're doing it. You're targeting it more and grabbing more information per department.
we're trying.
Yeah. That's all I have, Mayor.
Anybody else? Then we'll move on to the revenue over 5,000. Anybody? And we'll move on
I
to,
do,
oh,
Mayor.
okay, go
The-
ahead.
I'm not sure what the support division is.
So that is the Jason Brimhall's group and Jennifer Bryce and the Blue Stake person work in the support division for all utilities. So think of that as utility support division.
Okay, that was a kind of a new one to me.
It's that new change that you're gonna see that a lot of that stuff is gonna get routed through Jason directly in his office.
And the division has been there for a long time. It's just that those individuals get costed out over all the utilities because they provide service to all.
They all gotta pay. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? And we'll move on to revenue over 5,000. Well, expenses over 5,000. And we'll close the regular meeting and reconvene into an executive session.
Mayor, I move that we convene an executive session after a 2-minute break.
Good. Second?
Second.
A motion second to adjourn for.
You gonna join us in there, Bill?
Carries. Okay, then we'll go to, executive session closed, number 21, announcement of current events. Anybody? Future agenda items? Okay, if not, we'll go to item number 23, which is adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn. All in favor? Opposed?